ce faci, da, hai, să Nu, nu pot. Да. Ну. Да. Ну, пот вот. da.
Ba da. E prea lumină. Fuck.
Crezi că mănânci aici? mai pot. Lasă că mai duc.
A? Ce ai zis?
Vezi că te-ai uitat cascara după tăie, căcat. Asta o să spun noi și mă.
Da. Ok.
Aici, să-l pun aici.
How an eye looks like,
Tablatul ăla. Aici, nu știu unde. Adică, pot te pune aici.
from the side.
Auzi, Sergio,
Da.
l-ai sunat pe Tudor?
I-am trimis, da.
Nu? Victor, l-ai sunat? I-ai spus nu știu. I-ai spus nu? Nu.
Ce?
Ah. Ah. Ah.
Nu. Ia. Da. Ce vreau? Bence böyle sıkı.
Okay, so we're looking at a nose here, and as you can see, it's quite complicated. So I won't be able to get into the actual like details and the structure of the.
I drew every day for a year. What's the progress? Was it worth it? So this all started as a random idea. I wanted to make a progression video, and I picked art because I thought it was easy to track. Like, I'll draw for 30 days, I can show the first day, and then I can compare it to the last day. That would be interesting to see. Did I make progress? People were so encouraging of the video, and I really enjoyed picking up drawing. So I kept going, and I did a 100-day one, and people enjoyed it even more. There was no way I was gonna stop. I had to do at least a year. And here we are. Being here, I have so many emotions. I'm happy. All right, let's dig into it. Let's watch. Sorry, my nails. This is where it all started. 365 days ago. Day 1. A self-portrait. What's up, Björn? Yes. Yes, man, this is nice to watch. Like, okay, some are not terrible. This gives me confidence. Here's when I started to look up tutorials and stuff online. You think it'd be better, but they all kind of look like they have some sort of allergy. Like they ate a lobster and they have a seafood allergy. The chin is very big. I probably would have made it something more like, what if I fixed it? I feel bad for future past stuff. Damn, I drew so hard I can't erase. Damn, such a simple change and it's already so much better. I realize, and maybe other people have said this too, but drawing is more about training your brain to see rather than actually technical with your hand. I think that's a misconception I had. But after 30 days, this was the progress of my first video. I was so happy with it, and I think I should be, because the progress is definitely there. So this is my progress after 82 days, 84. And I really think here's where I peaked in terms of if you wanted to just improve as much as possible in the shortest time. I think just adding colors on papers is so satisfying to look at that it kind of forgives a lot of the anatomy errors, the poor line work, the sketch is still being there. Like, it's just nice to look at regardless. But yeah, this is the last thing I drew for my 100-day video. And yeah, it's cute. I did it. I drew something. So let's check the progress from there on. That's wrong. First of all, don't do what I did. I just kept drawing the same things. Anime girl. Too much anime. Just bad. I was trying to be technical and like give myself notes so I can improve. I wanted to be more consistent. I think that's why I kept doing this. But if I had to redo it, absolutely not. This is where I should have moved on to something else. I should have just drawn anything else. And eventually I did. I really wanted to draw more color, but it takes so much time to do that, and I really felt like I needed mileage more than anything. So just adding a little bit of color, sure. We'll ink it, but that's the most effort I'm gonna get into. Yeah, just sketching random stuff I find online. Finally, I move on and I draw boys. This is the boys arc. I drew so much guys from anime because I thought I drew so many mangas. You probably recognize these. I think this is Jujutsu Kaisen. I think, you know, this is a good time for me to address a couple things from my last video. And one of them is just a huge thanks to other YouTubers that reacted to my video. I think that was so cool to see and actually get encouraged by professionals. I really appreciated that. Another thing was that people said I had an art background. That was like a rumor that went around, and I guess I take that as a compliment, but no, I do not. I have not studied art. That was the whole point of this video. I was not being disingenuous. I have not drawn since I was a kid, but I loved doing Photoshop. Before YouTube, I loved Photoshopping images and creating artworks that way. So maybe in a sense that helped. But I think the biggest sort of thing that helped is that I'm actually older. Like, I'm 35 now, and I think if I did this thing when I was younger, I would not have seen the same improvement. But I also think, you know, the improvement I had, anyone can achieve. Like, I wanted my video to be inspiring for other people to do the same thing. Like, that's my goal. Like, people say anyone can draw, and I truly believe that. Oh, and by the way, I wrote a blog post. Yes, I write blog.
There's something wrong with me. An emptiness. I thought it started when my sister died, but
For the past 100 days, I challenged myself to not rip every page out of my sketchbook. Alright, I'm kidding. It was actually learning how to draw. With zero experience, things didn't go exactly as I planned. And just as I started getting the hang of traditional art, I scrapped it all and switched to digital art. Over the course of 100 days, I faced frustrations, setbacks, and moments where I wanted to quit. But eventually, I finally broke through, going from this to this. And here's how. I started day 1 very clueless. As a complete beginner in art, I had no idea where to start, but I know why I wanted to start. So I went online, grabbed a picture of my favorite character Kana, and tried my best to replicate everything I see and put it on paper. And this was the result. Since I'm writing this script around 4 months after the last time I saw this drawing, you have no idea how hard I'm trying right now to not rip this page out and stash it somewhere so no one can ever see it again. Seriously. Oh yeah, I immediately got another harsh reality check because I couldn't even draw a circle. So I thought to myself, this was gonna be a long 100 days. For the next couple of days, I did a little bit of everything. Faces, hair, and bodies. I'll be quite honest with you. 4 days into my art journey, I was lost. I was quick to blame my pencil, but even after switching to a mechanical pencil, my drawing didn't improve, and I had a realization that maybe I just wasn't good enough for this. I wanted to quit right there. Looking at the art I was drawing, I just thought I was not making enough meaningful progress to continue. However, things changed on day 5. I sat down with a positive mindset and just drew without any pressure to do well. I had my first big breakthrough and drew this. Even now, 100 days later, this drawing of Mencho still holds a special place in my heart. Yes, I'm looking at it now with 100 days of experience. There's so many things I can nitpick and so many mistakes I can see with a glance of an eye, but I am still proud of this art. Because back in my day 5 mind, this was the best thing I've drawn in my life, and it made me believe I can do this. I am actually getting better at drawing. And for that, this drawing of Mencho will continue to carry special memories for me, and I will probably cherish this piece forever. In my second week of learning how to draw, I mostly did studies. Back then, I don't know what I was thinking. I jumped from drawing faces for 2 days to drawing hair for 3 days, then jumped right into bodies. Then everything at once. Not only that, but I had trouble sticking to one thing longer than 3 days. Looking back, it was a crucial mistake. So I want to show you these drawings I did. At a glance, you can obviously tell I did not learn proper proportions and anatomy, because the neck on the left is really long, like a giraffe. Then the side profile drawing, the head is way bigger than normal. It obviously didn't come out well, but I think it's still progress. On day 10, I did a drawing of Chisato that was memorable and at the same time, frustrating. I remember that I was completely mind blown, because as I was trying to replicate the reference, midway through, I realized I did not have the experience and preparation to draw this. The character was actually doing a pose, and I was just not ready for it. You see, before this drawing, my past art was all characters just standing still from the front, back, and sides. And Chisato here is raising her legs and skirt interacting with what her legs are doing, her hands are flashing some signs, while she is positioned at a side angle. Anyways, I could keep going on, but you get the picture. Oh, by the way, I haven't learned how to draw hands yet. So yeah, hopelessness was all I felt after finishing this. On day 15, I spent a couple of days finally learning how to draw hands and feet. I know what you might be thinking. Since a lot of characters wear shoes, is it even necessary to learn how to draw feet? Yes, it is. And it's not because I'm a degenerate. A perfectionist. It's because I believe you shouldn't neglect certain details of the body just because it's covered up. And because I'm still in the beginning of my art journey, I mostly just copy the references, so learning feet is a good way to challenge myself. So in these 2 drawings, I replaced the character's shoes with feet. I actually had a lot of fun doing this challenge, and this was a step in the right direction. Day 19 is a memorable and important day for my drawing journey. this artwork. I actually went into my final days blind. This means I haven't decided on what pose I wanted my character to be in. I first browsed Pinterest and doom scrolled for a good hour before narrowing down to a few poses I liked. I initially drew this sketch of a character and literally stared at the screen for 2 hours. No, I am not kidding. The reason is because going into my final artwork, I had no idea who exactly I wanted to draw. I didn't want to draw Kana again because I always draw her. I didn't want to draw Subjan again because I don't want to keep asking you to subscribe. But most importantly, I wanted to challenge myself and draw someone I have never drawn before in these 100 days. Have you ever felt completely lost trying to draw something? This was what I was experiencing. Anyways, this post reminded me too much of the art study I did earlier, so I completely threw the sketch away and started drawing with a clear mind and came up with this initial sketch. I decided to draw Marin because while I was feeling lost, I took a break to browse for upcoming anime of summer 2025 and saw her on the top. So yeah, after having a clear goal and pose in mind, everything else came smoothly after that. Well, except for the eyes. So I initially colored my eyes like this, which felt too overly detailed and I hated how there's so many things going on. So the second time through, I simplified my coloring and my details, and it came out pretty great. I also challenged myself to draw a simple background, and I think this time it enhanced the overall illustration I had in mind. Overall, I was very proud of how my artwork came out. Going into this journey, I had no idea how long I would last. Overall, I was very proud of how my art came out pretty great. I also initially colored my eyes like this, with this initial sketch. I decided to draw Marin because while I was feeling lost, I took a break to browse for upcoming anime of summer 2025 and saw her on the top. So yeah, after having a clear goal and pose in mind, everything else came smoothly after that. Well, except for the eyes. So I initially colored my eyes like this, which felt too overly detailed.